Hi everybody, it's Matrix again, and we're going to do World 2 today. This is the smithing grounds area, so let's get into it. As usual, for starters, I'm going to do second chance so I don't die, because the enemies hit hard on New Game 7. So this area is a mine, and a lot of the enemies here drop basic upgrade materials, but I've got everything that I need, so I'm not going to be picking anything up. The enemies here are also very weak against pierce attacks, so Istarel works very well. They're also weak against magic attacks, but the piercing / magic damage that Istarel does really does a lot of damage, and so I'm not going to use my sword, so you're going to be seeing this weapon a lot. So these guys aren't really paying attention to me and what I'm doing, but if you don't kill them, eventually they all stand up and start coming at you, and there's a pack of wolves behind those pots right there. If you don't kill the diggers, then things can get a little bit tense. I like to pull these guys into this tunnel here and kill them, because there's a fat official in the tunnel that they came from, and he shoots you with fire, and that does a huge ton of damage on max difficulty. Also, admittedly, I see a lot of streamers and speedrunners just running past everything, but I enjoy all the fighting and killing, so I like to kill everything I can. You can see that's the precursor to combustion from Dark Souls there. These enemies try to be sneaky here, but I know where they all are, so I'm not too worried about them. So you got to be real careful, otherwise they'll swing at you when you're trying to run through and do a ton of damage. See, I am playing offline because I don't want to deal with invasions. I always play in body form because I want to use both of my ring slots for whatever I want to use instead of having to sacrifice one for the cling ring. When you die in Demon Souls, it takes you down to 50% of your health, and that's quite a quite a handicap unless you use the cling ring, and then you can get 75% of your health. But you only get 2 ring slots in this game, so I don't like to sacrifice one when I can have both of them for whatever I want. You see, I equipped the Thief's Ring. That's the same thing as the Ring of Fog from Dark Souls 1. It makes you invisible after a certain distance. So it's pretty much your best friend when you're doing PvE in this game. These hammer miners sometimes will drop the Murden Hammer, which classically was one of the best weapons for faith builds. And then you got these guys with the sacks. They drop a lot more items than the regular diggers do, so you can get a lot of upgrade materials out of those guys. The reason I'm coming over here, though, is because you open up the shortcut for the stage and also open up the pathway to get to Blacksmith Ed, the magic blacksmith, and you can give him demon souls after you kill the Flamelurker, and he can turn weapons into demon weapons. But he's also a magic blacksmith, like I said, so he can turn all your weapons even before you give him the Flamelurker soul. You can give him weapons and make things like blessed and moon weapons and whatever else your build requires. Whereas the blacksmith in the Nexus, he doesn't do all of that. Gotta be careful with those guys because they get hyper armor when they swing their pickaxe. This item right here is the steel shield, so if you're looking for it, it's not that far in the game. This is a really good shield. Here we get fire lizards. They set you on fire when you get too close to them, and I like to use a weapon that swings down so I can actually hit them. Plus the flame resistance ring, because they do a fuck ton of damage to you if you're not wearing it. The Eternal Warrior's Ring is something that you get from World 1-1 after you kill King Doran. And it works the same thing as the Chloranthy Ring from the Dark Souls games. By turning that switch, you set water down on the red hot ground. At the next part, I'll show you where I'm going and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So you can see I'm right here next to where those guys had the red hot pokers. If you try to come down here before you turn on the waterfall, the ground is red hot and it'll burn you to death when you try to run down here. So there's a ring in there, but I've already picked it up. I think it's just the ring of poison resistance, not that big a deal. I love the bouncing R2 stab with the straight swords and the demon souls. You can see how tanky these enemies are too, because I've got the difficulty maxed. That's just a stone of ephemeral eyes. My weight is up kind of high because I'm carrying a ton of arrows, so I'm not going to bother picking it up. One of the things the remake did over the original was it gave grasses varying amounts of weights. The more healing you get from a certain type of grass, the more it weighs, so you can't carry quite as much, and it also puts limits on how many you can carry. You can see how my full moon grass, it says 25 and it's yellow, and I can only carry 10 new moon grasses. That didn't exist in the original game. You could carry up to 99 just depending on your equipment burden or your item burden. You can see my item burden is 170 because I've got 50 vitality, and I'm close to max, so I'm trying not to pick tons of stuff up. Although there are a few things like spider stone chunks because my worlds are all pure white, so I don't get very many chunks when I'm trying to farm for things. Alright, here comes the armor spider, so I'm about to mute my mic again and I'll fight the boss. If I need to say anything, I'll just put tips up on the screen. One of the things in Demon Souls that you have to do is make sure you touch the Archstone before you move on, because that's how you get the Demon Soul. It doesn't give it to you automatically in this game. And one of the things I was grateful for in this version of the game is that you can automatically send things back to storage without having to leave it behind or dump off a bunch of gear that you're not, using and make sacrifices. You can just send it straight back to storage without having to worry. See how much stamina damage that thing does when he hits you with it. If I was using a lesser shield, that would have broke my guard. Another thing about the fat officials in this game is that when you rescue Yuri in the original game, all you had to wear was the hat, but you get the full set of officials' clothes in this one, and you have to wear the full set if you want to rescue her this time. I'm not going to do that in this playthrough because it's out of my way and I don't want to waste time doing it. But yeah, you have to get the full set of clothes from the fat officials throughout the game if you want to rescue her. Otherwise, the guy won't lower the staircase. Every stage in this game has some random black phantoms that you can kill for chunks of whatever type of gear are in the stage, or they also give stones of ephemeral eyes so you can bring yourself back to life. These are barbarian class enemies. They're not wearing armor, so they take a lot of damage from my attacks, and they're using steel shields, which doesn't have real good magic defense. So if I hit them while they're blocking, it'll still do a decent amount of damage. See, they always drop chunks and stones of ephemeral eyes. When I first bought this game back in October 2009, I was out at my local mall seeing the movie Where the Wild Things Are, and I randomly went into GameStop because my best friend had told me about Demon's Souls and said it was a pretty cool new game for the PS3, and I went ahead and went in there and just picked it up randomly and started playing it, and I'm glad that I did because Demon's Souls was my game of the generation for the PS3 era. Down there you can see Patches waving at you. That's his first appearance in the series. And he's just as much of a prick as he is in the other ones. Although I use him because I have to buy certain types of arrows from him. And he also sells different types of grasses that I use too. See, that explosion does a ton of damage to him, but he's got the Adjudicator's shield, so his life gets regenerated.
You're no joke, are you?
The item that's underneath where that thing was sitting is just a club, and he tries to trick you into going in there so you can pick it up, but then the bear bug will fall down on top of you and block you in, so it's really not worth it. the rockworms take the most damage from their faces. If you hit them in the body, it doesn't do nearly as much damage. So you gotta, well, you can hit them with a melee weapon, but it's easier to do it with a bow and arrow. Here's the part that's kind of confusing, but I know where I'm going, so I know my way around these tunnels. Trying to get back out is another story. These big fat bear bugs are blocking your way, so I have to kill 2 of them so I can get past. If I die against the Flamelurker, though, I'll show the shortcut to get back down to him, because it's a lot faster to get through this level taking the shortcut. I just wanted to record the actual stage so people could see it. They almost always drop Dragonstone, either shards or chunks, depending on your world tendency. The blacker your world tendency is, the more likely you'll get chunks. But because my world tendency is near white or pure white, I always get shards when enemies drop chunks or upgrade materials, unless I get really lucky. So you might ask, why am I playing this at New Game 7? Because killing some of these enemies is beyond tedious, and I agree it is, but I'm just really used to it from the PS3 version. My second character that I made in 2009, I leveled her indefinitely. I think she's in the 330s somewhere. And her faith is 99, and her vitality is 99, and enemies don't really stand much of a chance against her. She does a fuck ton of damage, but, you know, when you've got your build set to 125 and your stats are 50, which is very good, because any stat that goes above 50, you get really bad diminishing returns. It still takes a little bit longer to kill things. Alright, so here comes the Flamelurker, one of the rougher bosses in this game. I'm going to equip the Flame Resistance Ring, and he takes increased damage from magic weapons, so my sword should be good for him. But if I die, I'm going to use the shortcut, and if that happens, I'll show you guys how to get back down here real fast. So I didn't die, but I did make a mess of that fight, so sorry about that. Yeah, and I got pretty ballsy casting Second Chance right in the middle, but I really didn't want to die to him. I've had to do that before, so I ran behind the pillars so I could get some space, and it worked out. Now, the Dragon God is next, and it's a good idea to wear the Thief Ring because he looks for you, and his attacks will one-shot you on higher New Game Pluses, and it's likely that I'm probably going to get hit, so Second Chance is there to save me if that happens. Another thing about this on the remake is that the wreckage that you have to knock down to get out, to get through the tunnels or the hallways, it comes back every time you die. So you can't break it and die and come back and have it still be gone. You gotta break it each and every time you go through. So if you die, you get to do it all over again. So let's just see how it works out this time. So by killing an archdemon, you can get into World 1-3 and finish all of World 1 and fight the False King. Most people go for the second area, World 2, the smithing grounds, first. So the Dragon God is usually their first archdemon. It's more of a puzzle boss than a boss, but it can still be tough if you're, not sneaky enough and you get hit. One of the other things the remake version did was when you kill your first archdemon, you get the Nexial. I can't remember the name of it, but you can switch between worlds just at the Archstone, so you don't have to go back to the Nexus to do that like you used to. But anyway, I guess that's going to do for today. I'm going to backtrack to World 1 and I'll finish all of that one, which you would have already seen if you've been watching these in order. So I'll catch everybody next time. Bye-bye.